And good morning. It is daybreak. Spencer Hughes and Jeff Slakey. And it's time for our Sheriff Sit Down, brought to you by our friends at our Community Credit Union. We have Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling with us here in the green room. How are you, gentlemen?
Great. Good to see you.
Have a nice weekend?
I had a good weekend.
Good. Last week, there was a very tense situation involving was a search and rescue or search and recovery last week?
Well, it's rather interesting, if I may.
Go ahead.
Every year we lose people off of the high steel bridge, whether they fall and have an accident or they purposely jump. And we have 3 to 5 missing people that are still not accounted for. And oftentimes when it occurs, the river is raging at such a rate and it's just too dangerous to do anything, and nobody can really get down there to try to do a recovery to see if there are people down there. So this time of year, we scheduled a training mission for our Special Operations Response Team, which is trained at high angle rescues and trained for swift water rescues. And they went down on Tuesday. They had a safety up on the bridge and an incident commander, and they went down and they actually did recover remains of 2 individuals. Now, we haven't identified those 2 individuals yet. We have to have those sent out to the labs and identify, and that's going to bring closure to a couple families, which is really important. And after the mission, after they had recovered, they were on their way out and a large rock broke free and hit one of our deputies in the head.
Oh my goodness. Actually
hit him in the face. It broke his face in 5 places, including his jaw, his orbital bone, his cheek. And he was rendered unconscious almost immediately. And he was about 20 feet, from what I'm hearing from the other deputies, about 20, maybe 30 feet off of the river up on the embankment. And when he got hit, the deputy that was next to him, the team leader, grabbed him, but the momentum of the strike drug both of them down and they rolled 10 or so feet. That deputy who had a hold of him that was conscious obviously arrested or slowed his fall, and he was able to reach and grab a rock and slow the fall enough to where they actually stopped. But he only had a foot of the other deputy, and at that point the deputy slipped out of his hands. He fell another 10 feet, but he fell onto a bit of a shelf and he landed on his backpack on his back instead of on his head in the river. So really, the team leaders saved the other deputy's life.
Wow.
Preventing him from going into that raging river head first, unconscious.
How are they both doing?
They're both doing well. They both have been, the one deputy was airlifted, and that was the absolutely amazing thing because we had gusts of wind that day, both down here and up there, so we weren't real sure what the conditions were going to allow. So we had both the Department of Emergency Management. We had Tammy and Ross working really hard for us at our DEM, and they got a helicopter from Whidbey Island, and the naval helicopter came in, and those guys are absolutely incredible. They flew over, did a quick survey, went in and dropped down into that 400-foot canyon, dropped 2 medics in a gurney, flew back up, waited until the medics had got the deputy on the gurney and got him prepared for the extraction. And I need to back up for just a second. One of our, we had an EMT as part of the team, but once the injury occurred, the fire districts are part of our SORT team. They sent a paramedic down, so they were able to stabilize our deputy and get him ready to transport. Then the helicopter came back down, and that was the incredible part. He was right on the rock embankment. I mean, his rotors were dislodged in tree branches and everything.
Wow.
It was incredible. And just to watch them hold that helicopter steady while they draw.
It's all got to be split-second precision and just, I mean, all these calculations that are happening in spur of the moment. I can't even imagine.
It was incredible. And then they took the one deputy out along with the paramedic, and they flew him to Harborview, and that's where he was seen because they didn't know the extent of the head injury, if it was a traumatic brain injury or not. The CT scan showed that there was no brain bleed, but it was a severe concussion. And then we were able to rope our other deputy out, and he was seen down at Mason General and released with just bruises and scrapes and really sore. So it was a pretty involved thing, but our team really pulled together. The fire departments, everybody came together, and it was an amazing rescue.
Wow. Casey, what does that look like when other departments get involved and the coordination of that?
I think that's a huge part of this is when you look at our neighbors and our other teammates from the county and in other disciplines within the fire service, emergency services. We're looking at our emergency operations workers up there. As Ryan said, I was on the phone trying to get a helicopter and immediately walked in, and Tammy and Ross from the EOC were on the line and said, hey, we've got NAS Whidbey available. Everybody works so closely, as well as we had calls in when we were up there, a couple calls. The chief of the Washington State Patrol immediately called and said, if you need anything, you've got it. They offered up troopers to come handle our other calls for us. Grace Harbor called. All of our surrounding counties called and offered up anything that they could do, staff or anything else to help us out. But watching that group up there on the hill, when you're up in that canyon like that, communication stuff, there's all kinds of things going on. But watching the teamwork that occurred between all these different workers up there from different disciplines at the same time, it was like clockwork watching it happen. Nobody argues. Everybody just does what needs to be done. I think that's what makes a great team. That's what makes a winning team is everybody is in it to do their very best job at what they do that contributes to the successful outcome. The other thing I wanted to throw in there is that when our folks are on these missions, they're exercising all the due safety that you can do, the equipment that they have, all the safety equipment is on. But anytime you're doing anything, I kind of liken it to when somebody says that they're going in for just a simple surgery. It never really is. There's a lot of complications that can develop that can be unforeseen.
Sure.
In this circumstance, they're doing everything right. They had done everything correctly. They're just getting ready to go out of there. And you can't predict when a rock that you don't know of, a big boulder is going to break loose from a canyon wall. I mean, you can't predict everything that's going to go on. And that day we just had an unfortunate circumstance that worked into this circumstance of everybody working together. We were on the bridge most of the time watching as the helicopter came in and all the things that were going on. And then later, as we started to haul the people up, everybody, all of us were down there pulling on the line from the chiefs of the fire agency and the sheriffs and the chiefs and the undersheriff and the chief deputy and everybody in our office and all the other emergency services workers were up there were contributing to that, to get those guys out of there. So it was in the end, unfortunate circumstances, but a tremendous day to watch people work as a team.
And as bad as
Spencer, if I could reiterate, that bridge is dangerous. Do not, if people are listening out there, do not try to hike around that bridge. We have so many people that fall accidentally that think they're going to be okay. And it's really not something that's survivable very often.
No.
It's just a freak time when somebody survives that fall. And it's just very unfortunate. It's a dangerous, dangerous place. Every year we have people that fall or jump off of that bridge, and it's dangerous for all the workers too.
Another thing in danger that when we're up there and we've got teams down there, it's disheartening to me when you look at something so pretty as that thing coming down through there and people are throwing 55-gallon drums and wheels and tires of cars over to watch them fall and the junk that's down there. That's really sad that you have such a beautiful environment up there and people would throw stuff over. You see all kinds of things down there.
I didn't even consider that. Yeah, but you see everything down there.
Yeah, I mean, they throw it over just to watch it fall, and it accumulates at the bottom, and some of it washes out, some of it doesn't. But it's just too bad. It's such a beautiful area in the whole country. People come from all over to see that, and then they damage it by doing that as well. So
Kind of like our party rock.
Yes, just like.
Yeah, let's talk about that. The weather's been super nice. So we finally got summer here, warmer temperatures, people out on the waterways. Not everybody following the rules, of course, and common sense either. What have you guys been seeing?
Well, as I grew up here, and so I guess what I noticed as being different, the steel bridge used to seem like it was a long ways away. Even when you lived here, it used to seem like a long ways up in the woods, just like Party Rock on the backside of Cushman used to be. Seemed like a long ways out there back in the old days. Well, our town has moved out. It's getting more populated. Even around the Hoodsport area, there didn't used to hardly be any full-time residents up there. Now there's a lot of full-time residents, most of it. And now it's just attracting and drawing more people and a notoriety of being able to put something on the internet. You know, we've got some really neat features in this county, but now that they're putting them out on all these websites and things as places to visit, you just have an overabundance of people. And up there at Lake Cushman at Party Rock, if you haven't been up there, there's a huge rock there that people like to go up and goof around on and jump off of. But nearly every year, just like the bridge, we have the same problem. We get people that get up there and they jump off that. And underneath there's rock structures. And if you don't hit the right spot, and if the lake level is down, they land on those just underneath the water, and we end up with rescues. The other problem we're having now with they're so popular is the same thing. There's so many people parked up there, and they leave their garbage and their refuse up there. And they're always, when you get that many people together, there's arguments and fights and things. And it's really, we respond up there, but it's the U.S. Forest Service property up there. That's national parks and stuff up there for us. And so people always ask us, why aren't we up there all the time? Well, in the early years, there was more rangers up there. Well, they've cut down the number of rangers and increased the area that they've got to cover. And so who gets called up there? So it's way out of the way for us in the county to cover on the national forest land, but we do get calls up there.
Are there rules of jumping off that? Is it prohibited, or just proceed with caution if you do jump? What are the actual regulations about that?
Well, there used to be signs up there that said, you know, don't go out there, but it's up there for 10 minutes till the first person gets there and tears it down, and then they're right back out there again. And nearly every year, somebody gets hurt. We end up with a rescue up there. There ends up disturbances and things like that up there. It's very tough to control when you're covering a whole county with a few people, and then you're going all the way to the national forest to do that stuff too.
What else have you been seeing with any problems on the waters with alcohol and just kind of abusing that? And
I think boating season has gone pretty well. I know early on the chief set up the boating schedule this year to be very assertive on the way we were enforcing on early in the year, and kind of setting the tone for how things are going to be on the lake. And we spent especially the last 2 years, getting our coverage on the lake, but doing a lot of education and information, and to work into a stronger enforcement mode as again, more people are down here in the area. And they came out early this year. I'll let the chief talk about what his staff has done in there, but that early enforcement, I think, has really helped out.
It's just, Spencer, we have the Hood Canal and the Puget Sound and 200 lakes. It's quite an area to cover. But this year we had two, and we still do through the rest of the summer, two dedicated Marine Patrol deputies that's what they've been doing. So I'm sure the residents have seen them more, but it's still really hard to enforce some of the things. Like we got a call from Mason Lake, and they said, hey, the people wait till your boat leaves and then they go out and do the stuff. Well, we can't be everywhere at all times, and people are watching and paying attention. So unfortunately, that's the reality of what we deal with sometimes too, but our guys have been doing a really good job. There hasn't been any major accidents, and I hope it stays that way through the summer. We're trying to make sure we get good enforcement to get people to be more responsible out there and save lives.
I wonder if coronavirus has added to kind of people running out there and just being so full of cabin fever and stir crazy. Getting out there is like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like every summer you have people out on the lakes and stuff, but now it seems like we've been cooped up so long that when you have a nice weekend or a nice day off,
we have a huge influx of people every single year since I've worked here. And each year we have a lot of people that have summer homes down here, and their main homes are out of county somewhere, usually up in the greater Seattle area. And with everything being shut down and trying to social distance and not with the businesses, everybody's headed their summer cabins. And so it brings a lot of people down here anyway. And I think it's increased to that too, people going out on their boats and things. That I know that for Washington State parks and our boat ramps, because some of those are shut down, some of their private ramps are shut down, which increases the volume of other ramps getting in and out of the water. And there are a lot of people down here this year for us to handle. I credit the Washington State Park Rangers. The camping, as soon as it opened up, was just like opening the floodgates. Yeah. People can get out, but they can kind of stay together as a family. And so those park spots and all of our parks are full. Those rangers are really busy right now. And I'm kind of wondering if it's not going to continue a little longer into the fall with many of the schools, or most of the schools, not going back into session. I think we're going to have maybe an extended summer until that last day when it starts pouring down rain.
It's rather interesting, but it does seem like we have more than normal. Tawana State Park, Belfair State Park, all of those parks, all of the areas, Big Creek, Party Rock, Mount Eleanor, all the different things that we have that people like to go to is really, really busy. And I don't know if that's maybe because the malls, and because a lot of them are from out of town that don't even have cabins up here is what we're finding as well. And you really can't go walk through downtown Seattle like you used to be able to the same way. And a lot of counties are in different levels of recovery as opposed to ours. So it seems like people are wanting to get outside because it's a little safer to interact and do things outside.
Sure.
So that's just a speculation, but I'd be interested to see what the numbers were if somebody was tallying that.
Yeah.
I called NAS Whidbey Monday and to talk to the crew, and they were not in. They're going to call me this week. They have different crews that are on and off duty, and the guy up there that answers the phone for NAS Whidbey was saying that they are incredibly busy. Not just in our area, but rescues. People are getting out and hiking a lot more. The weather's gotten really good. They've had a lot of injuries. We had a couple of them on Mount Eleanor that Fire and Law had to go up to on Mount Eleanor. People slip and fall and break an ankle or something. People have to go up, and then some places they have to airlift them out. And NAS Whidbey has been extremely busy. They told me this year one of the busiest years they've ever had.
From the Mason County Sheriff's Office,
Mayor?
Sorry, I just made you the mayor. Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling. Good to see you guys.
Thanks so much.
You are running for mayor. I just blew the cover. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, you guys.